All right, welcome to General Nerdities, a place where we discuss all things in the general nerd culture, from video games, comic book, TV shows, movies, and more. We're your hosts. I'm Jake. That's my co-host Alex, and on this episode, we'll be discussing our favorite games from 2020. I kind of want to start this off real quick. Sorry that we missed an episode last week. Despite our best efforts in trying to stay safe, the both of us got COVID, and I was nice enough to gift Alex with COVID for his birthday this last week. So we've been kind of knocked out and under the weather and down with the sickness, if you will. Um, and yeah, it's been a thing. But we're gonna double up on episodes this week. We're gonna have a second episode coming out. How you feeling? You doing better, Alex?
I'm doing okay. I miss tasting things.
Yeah, I miss food. I can't smell anything, and all my food taste is like skewed. I was having some frozen grapes the other day, which I love frozen grapes. It's like little slushies in a ball.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could taste from it is the sour. Like there's no sweet coming through. And it just kind of ruined it for me.
See, I still get sour and sweet, but like it's the finer notes. I had a lemon the other day, and I was like, oh, it's sour, but I get nothing else.
Anyway, enough COVID complainings. Let's talk about games. What type of game playthrough? What games did you get to play through this year?
So probably not as many as I should have, considering we had an entire year off. But so far for 2020, the game that stuck out to me and probably had the most fun with was Astro's Playroom, a little free PS5 game that came like with the system. It's maybe a 5 hour long game, and I could not stop smiling ear to ear the entire time. You're this cute little robot. It runs through all 25, 26 years of just PlayStation nostalgia. The music is great. It's a fun little platformer, and it's easily the most fun I've had playing any game all year.
Astro's Playroom, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, as soon as you get a PlayStation 5, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Whenever the bots start losing that battle, and I'm able to kind of get around to a PlayStation, maybe I'll get a chance to enjoy it. The amount of games I was able to get to this year was a bit limited. I finished grad school this year.
Yeah,
or
that's fair.
last year. So I was really like the first half of the year. I wasn't playing games, really. So I really had to try and make up for it. COVID definitely did its best to try and help with that and keep everything open. But my easily my favorite game last year, and by no means does this blow anything out the water or revolutionize gaming, but it is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and it wasn't even close. Like, it is the Dragon Ball game I've been waiting for my whole life. Like, Alex and I both have the strange privilege to have spent like the early part of elementary school in Japan. And we got to experience Dragon Ball like in the early 90s, before it was even in English. It was just some weird Japanese guys like yelling at each other and then beating the crap out of each other, and it was awesome for like 7-year-old me. Like that was what was up. And I've loved it my whole life. By no means do I think Dragon Ball is like the greatest anime of all time, and that can kind of come around in a separate episode. But the game that they did, like that was, in a nutshell, it was nostalgia injected into my veins.
That's one of the ones I absolutely have to get back to. I think I got to Namek and I put it down for some reason.
Oh man, I could not put that game down. I came back and played it every day. I think I ended up putting a good 50 hours into it, or 40 something hours into it. Like, by no means was it a short game, but man, it hit everything from like the beginning of the Raditz saga all the way through the end of the Boo saga, and I loved every last bit of it. Like I said, it didn't do anything. It didn't blow my mind on anything. Like, Cyberpunk wasn't sitting there taking notes on how to do an RPG. It had some RPG elements, but it wasn't like It was nothing special. It worked, and but it let me play my favorite character. It let me be Goku. It let me be Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta. All my favorite Dragon Ball characters growing up, and fight the big battles that they got to fight, and then even better, just kind of like go around and explore this world. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
The way that they animated it for the game was just like I was playing the show. Um, I loved it so much. I have kind of been on a hiatus on DLC. I haven't played the DLC. I want them to complete the DLC packages first before I go back and play it. But man, was that fun! Like they didn't. Like I said, they didn't blow me away with anything, but they did nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it.
Okay.
It played great. I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it.
All right. That is definitely one of the ones I have to get back to from last year.
Now, on that note, I kind of want to make this clear, but Alex and I are not some massive gaming corporation that gets preview codes to every and an unlimited budget and time frame to go through games. We don't. There are a ton of games that we didn't even get a chance to play this year. So take that in mind. But this is what we have gotten a chance to play and what we really enjoyed. What else did you get a chance to play that you stuck out to you?
Yeah, the next biggest game that I've had probably the most fun playing is Ghost of Tsushima. It came out originally over the summer, right after Last of Us 2. I played it for a little bit. It wasn't clicking with me. And then towards the fall, around October again, I picked it back up and restarted it. And I mean, just I got lost in the open world. I switching between the Kurosawa mode through the like where you can half the game I played in Japanese subtitles just because it felt like playing an old Japanese kind of samurai movie, and
I can't
it's
do that.
it's
I can't even watch anime with subs, man.
well,
I
they're not
can't.
real.
I end up just staring at all the words on the bottom of the screen, and then I'm like, what happened?
Switch between them. Like so, that's one thing that where I will say the main quest line of Ghost of Tsushima is fine, but a lot of the side quest lines I really enjoyed. You get really invested to know what's happening to these other characters and how their little stories are progressing and their little tales of revenge or tales of freedom. And gameplay's solid. The world is beautiful. There's one of the things that I find that really starts lacking in a lot of big open world games is combat starts to feel dull after a while. And this one, there's enough variety mixed between stealth, between your different stances, that I never found myself getting too bored. Like some of the enemies do get a little easy and a little tedious, but for the most part, like there's a big enough playground and there's enough stuff to do where I'm never really bored. And if I am, like, okay, I can just go ride my horse and try and find a haiku spot, or I
How,
can try and like scale a mountain, or
how are the stealth systems in that?
it's not bad. I mean, it's no Hitman or Metal Gear, but it's fun. It's honestly, I find myself so that like there's the whole like you can crawl under things or really hide behind stuff. That's okay, whatever. I like getting on top of buildings, jumping down on people. The fact that you can stab people through doors is pretty bitchin'. Like,
That's cool.
yeah, again, it's just it's not the normal stealth kind of game, but it's enough. There's enough in there where I'm constantly engaged and having fun. And again, like there's just so much into that game. And one of the things that I haven't gotten to play yet is the free multiplayer version.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you got to play that.
No, unfortunately, I haven't gotten a chance to play that yet. But I mean, the rest of the game, I've probably good 20, maybe 35 hours or so in, and I'm having an absolute blast. It's easily one of my favorite games that I've played all year, and I can see myself coming back to it for a long time.
That's awesome. That's easily the top of my like 2020 games that I didn't get a chance to play list. Like, I really want to play Ghosts. Like,
Yeah,
I can't wait to get a chance at that one.
yeah. So what about you? What else have you played this year?
So another one, and this one's might be a little controversial between me and you, but like the second best game that I played this year is The Last of Us 2. I have my own beefs with the game.
Yeah.
Mostly being that it should never have been made. But I have to get over that. That's something I have to deal with. But all in all, like the game played amazing. The game looked amazing. The story they told, it's doesn't hold a candle to one, but it wasn't a bad story. It's
Yeah.
hard for me to say that because in my mind I'm always trying to like compare it to one, and its existence almost feels like contradictory to the first one. Like
There are a lot of people
it's
that would agree.
yeah, but I got to be Ellie again, and a character that there's only so many characters, so many times that you play a game and you just like you fall in love with a character. Like this is somebody that this is part of your family, or somebody that you just really relate to, or just really care for. And Joel and Ellie are that. And getting to kind of get a little bit more of them in an incredibly designed world with really good combat and survival elements. There aren't a lot of games that do survival stealth in the way that they do, and that gameplay it's so good. Um, I was so happy to be able to go back into that world, play as Ellie, even play as the new character Abby.
Yeah.
Jeez, I couldn't think of her name for a minute. Um, while there's controversial in my head about her, like yeah, I kind of care about Abby a little bit, but like the game played great. Um, like I can't beat that horse enough about the gameplay elements, especially when dealing with other, not just dealing with the clickers, but the actual other human elements. So like the stealth mechanics and the way that like certain factions would actually hunt you, and it was just really fun. And I really enjoyed that it's resources are scarce in that game, and so being able to find and upgrade and craft and all that stuff, it really rewarded your exploration, especially when that exploration came at the expense of like jump scares and death, and stuff like that. But like I don't know, I can't say enough how much fun I actually had. I think I beat that game in less than 3 days, maybe from launch. Like I played straight through it, um, and it's very controversial. It's got a lot of things back and forth, but it is a well designed game with a good story, and can't take that away. And if you enjoyed being in that world, I think I would still recommend for anybody to like get a little bit more of it. Like it wasn't bad.
That's fair, I suppose. Well, full disclosure, I beat the game in a roughly the same time frame as you. I thought the combat, I thought it was more of the first. The first wasn't necessarily bad, but I think it is
No,
starting
this
to.
one blew. When was the last time you played the first?
About 3 years ago when the remastered version was out, I
The
played through it one
remaster
more
came
time.
out at the launch of PS4.
Yeah, I know, and it took me. I think I finished moving out with you guys when I replayed the remastered version.
Hmm.
Um,
No,
I,
the combat, especially when it comes to human to human combat, like it's a completely different ball game. Like I get
I
it. The clickers, it's a little bit of the same. Um,
it honestly that it was a lot of throw the brick. I'm gonna sneak around. Throw the brick. I want to sneak around. Throw a Molotov, and I'm gonna like the AI was better, yeah, but I think the biggest gripe I have with the game is it was too long. By about hour 20, I was done. Like I was like, oh, this is really good. I'm done. Like it just felt bloated and too long, and by the end of it, I felt like it was a chore to continue playing it. Versus like I wasn't enjoying it anymore, and I was like, again, artistically and there's a lot of accolades that game rightfully deserves. I just think it was about 5 to 10 hours too long. Some of it could have been trimmed down.
I could
Um,
see that. We also probably tried to play it through it a little bit too fast. That
it's
may have a
fair.
little to do with it.
Maybe. Maybe. Look, as of right now, it's one of the few games I don't plan on going back to anytime soon. Whereas the first one,
Yeah.
like, I didn't want to go back to it for different reasons. The first one was emotionally it impacted me. This one's just like I don't know if I have
Yeah.
another 30 hours to go through something that brutal again.
And I'll agree with you there. I have zero desire to go back and play this game again.
Yeah.
If they come out with DLC, I don't know that I'd be interested in it.
Yeah. Neither do I. Yeah, I think we can talk
But
more in depth about.
To me, that has a lot to do with like what transpired in the game
Yeah.
than the way that the game actually plays. Because while you may have like it may be a little too simplistic for you, it sounds like at times. Like you can't say it's. I don't think it played bad by any means.
It didn't play bad, but I don't think it compared to yeah, it maybe just didn't hit me right. So maybe I wasn't in the mood for a survival horror kind of game or more of a survivory like. Maybe it just didn't hit me the way it was supposed to. But again, like my biggest gripe is there was too much of it. Like again, by the end of it, this was a chore. I just want to know what happens. I don't really care about playing the game. Just tell me what happens to Abby and Ellie and what happens on the farm and all that other good stuff. Yeah, no, I'm glad you liked it. I had a good time with it. I wouldn't say it was a bad game. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I too, to some extent, I'm a simpleton when it comes to consuming media sometimes. Like, just shut my brain off and enjoy. And
Yeah.
as long as it's not glaringly glaringly bad, or things that are sticking up like Cyberpunk, then like I'll have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. It's not free of gripes on my end, but it was a good game. I also didn't feel like this last year was the biggest game, the year of games. Like when it came down to the Game Awards, and even with some of the big companies like IGN, like it was really just like The Last of Us 2 and Hades were essentially the Game of the Year candidates, and I think Hades blew a good majority of the Game of the Year awards out the water this year, which I don't know. I played Hades. I'm currently playing Hades still. I don't get it. Like it plays well. It does. I don't know. I don't get it. It's not fun to me. I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's almost frustrating me now. Like, give me a new level, give me a new mission. Like, what is my objective, or at least change the narrative around my objective, which it may be doing the same thing over and over again. But I don't know. I don't get it. Roguelikes aren't for me, apparently. But now I've kind of hit a point to where like I have to beat it. I don't know if I ever will. But like I'm kind of determined. But yeah, like I said, it's not a bad game. But I don't know how that cleaned house this year.
It's fair.
What was
To each their own.
What was your number 3 though this year?
If I had to choose, probably Miles Morales.
Okay.
I will say the story isn't as impactful as the 2018 Spider-Man. Then again, what would be? But I enjoyed the combat again. Just again being able to drop into New York. I will appreciate that the PS5 makes turning on background music a lot easier, so I'm able to listen to Wu-Tang and a few other things while I'm swinging through New York. And pause that. Like the biggest thing,
it just sounds right.
it feels right. So, but the biggest thing I had, like one of the biggest gripes I had about the PS4 in general was it was so hard to switch between apps. Like, so I to have Spotify running in the background, you'd have to go out, go to your main menu, reselect Spotify, go like it was very cumbersome. Where this one, there's like a little quick menu where you can pause the music during a dialogue scene like that.
Nice.
So I quality of life improvement. But yeah, no, like the combat of Miles Morales, I do not know what playing Peter Parker is going to be like in the sequel, because combat felt so much better with Miles.
Really?
You have new powers, you have invisibility, there's like some really cool stuff that Miles is able to do that Peter wasn't, and you're just like, oh, this is badass. Like, I'm gonna miss this when I'm Peter Parker again, that clearly he doesn't have these Venom powers. I will say that the story was fine. It was competent. you could kind of see where it was going a mile away. But again, for most comic book stories, that is what it is. I'm not gonna hold it too hard against that. But yeah, no, I love that game. Being able to play in the Into the Spider-Verse costume for damn near the entire game was just
Was it pixelated that same way?
so you can actually turn on the perk where your suit and your character move at like the 24 frames per second. It ends up being a little choppy, but it looks more like the movie. But there's also another perk that you can turn on where like when you're beating up the bad guys, the bam, pow, and stuff pop up like all random, and it's super cool. Just like
That's fun.
things like that made my day, and I could honestly just give me more side missions to do that in that world. I'll do them all day.
I get it. Or some DLCs like they did at the end of
Yeah.
the Spider-Man game. I really enjoyed that Spider-Man game. Looking back on it, like it was actually super simple, but it just kind of it everything I said for Dragon Ball ditto, like nostalgia and injected into my veins, and being able to play as Spider-Man in a believable way. In a way that you see him in the comics or in the shows or in the movies or whatnot. That's just awesome. I can't wait to get to that one whenever it is I get around to having a PS5. I know I can get it on PS4, but
wait till PS5.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
So my probably last favorite game of 2020, at least of the releases in 2020, is Doom Eternal. I didn't get to play this until actually just recently. I still haven't beaten it. Actually, I'm in the middle of it right now. But it's right. When I found out that when Bethesda got purchased by Microsoft, and I knew everything was going to kind of come over to the Xbox Game Pass. That's when I got the opportunity to finally get at it. Because initially I was just waiting I was like, all right, I'll sit on it and wait for all the DLC to release, and I'll buy it all at once, so I don't gotta like play the game and come back and then play it again and come back, kind of like what I'm doing Dragon Ball. But now that's on Xbox Game Pass last month, I've been playing it. I jumped in. I actually played through Doom 2016 to kind of prep myself, and it just kind of it flows right into it, and it just feels right. Hell on Earth looks freaking badass. It just looks awesome. It plays fast just like Doom 2016 did. It's not a game that you really have to think hard on. You just kind of shut down and go, and it's a lot of fun doing all that. And I just id and Bethesda are doing Doom right. Like it feels right, and I just love being in that world.
Yeah,
that's one of the ones. If you're willing to dig and look around or just kind of listen, like I know it's never been known for it, but it's got a really cool story.
Yeah, the Doom 2016 had that where you find all the basically the little bits of lore about the Doom Slayer, and I loved it. I love 2016. That's one of the ones I do have to get back to. I got it. I think I got like 3 or 4 hours into Doom Eternal, and then I don't think it was clicking for me at the beginning of the year, but it's one of those ones I've been meaning to get back to.
Yeah, I can't wait for them to finish all the DLC on that as well, and kind of get to the rest of that. That was it's just a fun game.
Yeah.
Any games that you missed out on in 2020 that you really just can't wait to get around to or hope to get around to?
Other than the two you mentioned, you already mentioned Doom Eternal. I got to get back to Dragon Ball Kakarot. I got to get back to, and one that I wanted. So I, like a dumbass, felt, oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It'll come to PC eventually. And I was thinking maybe 6 months, 8 months. They got to make an announcement soon. Like Square Enix has to bring that to other platforms, and I didn't have a 4K ready machine at the time, so I was just like, I'll wait for it. And now that I have PS5, that's one of the ones I do want to get back to. Final Fantasy VII was a game that shaped my childhood, got me into video games the way that I know them now. I want to get back to it now that I have a 4K capable machine. I will go back to it, but yeah, that's probably the next biggest one on my list. What about you, man?
Yeah, kind of. It's the same thing. The two of them on your list that really big for me. I can't wait to get to Ghosts, and actually, I really want to play that multiplayer one that they have. That looks really fun.
Yeah,
We'll definitely jump on that
yeah.
and get some of that. That just looks. It looks like they just kind of understand what that world should be. It just looks really fun to be in. Also, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Although it just kind of seems like I can't say I'm super excited about it because it just seems like a little like a DLC size standalone game, and like I kind of want more than that, especially if I'm gonna. It's a full price game, right?
Not technically. So PS5 games are going to be $70
Right.
going forward. This one is 49. So $20 cheaper than a full price game.
Not
I
bad,
mean,
but like
I put
how many
at
hours would you
least
say it is?
I put at least 20, maybe 25 in there.
Okay, I could probably do that.
Yeah, I mean, like it wasn't a short game by any stretch. I imagine if you wanted to, you could blaze through it in close to 10. But if you like, I like doing the side stuff and a lot of side missions and collecting costumes and doing a couple things. Good 20-hour game.
Yeah, and yeah, it looks really fun. I really enjoyed the Spider-Man game on PS4.
Yeah.
Really had a lot of fun with that with my daughter actually, but yeah, and then the other game that I'm really looking forward to, same one you just said, Final Fantasy VII remake. My only thing is like I'm looking forward to it when they're done remaking it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna buy that game in pieces. I'm just not. I've played that game before, and then they're not going to sell me a game that I've already played, as well as it looks now, in pieces. 3, 4, however many times they're going to end up doing it. I'm just not. So I'm going to wait for them to be done. The first one will probably be up-resed for PS5 or whatever, or PS6 if it takes them that long.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to do it. But I am looking forward to it. It's a really cool game, a really cool looking
Yeah.
game. So if you got nothing else, I think it's about that's gonna go ahead and wrap up this episode.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody for watching. If you enjoy our content, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. We'd love to hear your comments in the comment section down below. Also, if you have any topics that you'd like to discuss in the future, or that you'd like us to discuss in future episodes, leave a comment or reach out to us on our social medias at Twitter, on our Twitter at GNerdities, or Instagram at General Nerdities, all one word. Thanks. Bye.
I